Hey, how y'all doing? Back again, another episode of the It Fair. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson. Today we got somebody special, my big brother, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hey, how are you guys doing? My name is Jahnesta Watson, but I go by Chef Shaiheem.
Yes, sir, man. So, man, how are you doing today? Mentally, physically?
I'm doing all right. Every day is a day.
Yes, sir.
We've had a very, very interesting span of events today, both on a business side as well as a work side. When work and business also find their way of being able to kind of like cross. So it's been interesting, but all around, I will say I'm blessed.
Cool.
Blessed to be on this side of the grass any day.
I can respect that, man. So, like, one of my first questions is kind of how we met. You know, with me going in to become a member of Phi Beta Sigma, you know, you took me under your wings. And I would like to say, like, thank you for that, for one.
No problem.
But for two, like, how has that been for you now? Like, being in Phi Beta Sigma, how has it helped you become the man you are today? And also, how has it helped your business, things of that nature?
That is such a deep thing. So, to be honest, I have been around, even outside of before I was even a part of the organization, I've been around men of Sigma probably, I want to say, since I was like 15, as far as like influential like people in my life. I will say, particularly men from like our chapter,
Right.
honestly, since I was like 17 years old. So I skipped 2 grades in school, 2nd and 11th. So I came to school kind of a little bit earlier than most people did. I started being around people from Side Chapter. Actually, one of the people that actually brought me in as a mentor in 2010 when I was still 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
So they have been very influential in shaping, the man that I am today, just from seeing the way it is that they like ran the chapter to seeing how it is that they have handled situations and like the business of like the chapter, and then also interchangeably in like their own lives, the way it is that they dealt with like relationships within the chapter shaped my mindset in a lot of ways about the ways it is that I handle like the personal relationships that I have like in life, both on a personal as well as like a business level as well. So it's been a lot of influential things. The networking that I've been able to be like a part of just from the fraternity like aspect has been amazing as well. One of like the first corporate jobs I actually ever got literally happened a few weeks after I joined the organization, and it was through someone that was a member of the organization from a completely different chapter that put me on simply off the strength of the brotherhood. So it's been a very, very interesting thing, but very, very great.
Man, that's amazing, bro. And I mean, I same with me, man. Like, coming out of college, actually, I got my job from a brother, man. That was like, yeah, you're a brother, so I'm going to give you this job.
Right.
Even now, he still stay in my ear about doing stuff, came on a show, supported me, gave money, different things of that nature. So, like, I love Sigma, man, and, like, different things it has done for me. So, in that, man, I just want to ask this. I know you cooked for us a couple times when we were, like, pledging stuff like that. And you know something that's crazy, though? I never knew that you was going to be a chef, bro. Like, so what drove you to want to be a chef, man?
So I will say that like I've always loved to cook, to be completely honest. I've probably been cooking since I was 12. I, funny as it's gonna sound, made some of the finest gourmet hamburger helper you'll probably ever had in your life. It's a joke I always make. But it was a very interesting thing. Like I could not really cook the way I wanted to. I grew up in a very, very traditional Southern household. My grandfather did not believe that men should be in the kitchen. He wanted us outside playing. So a lot of times I really wanted to try to like experiment on things when I was younger. I would have to wait till like he was not out of town, until like he wasn't in the house, or if he was in town like doing something, like if he was like at the hospital like having like a visit because he's a veteran, things like that. And I grew up in rural Mississippi, but one thing that we did have, even though we didn't have cable, Food Network came on TV. So I was always looking at a lot of like those old Food Network stars, and I was always getting into the things that they was making, and it was something that really, really interested me. I found myself when I got to school needing a job, and at that point in development, besides just being smart, the only thing is that I kind of like had underneath my wing, besides singing, which I didn't see how that was going to pay the bills at the time, was the fact that I could cook. So I got a job as a cook. And at the airport, and I did that for several years while I was in school. It's really how I paid my way up through school almost to the end, until that corporate job got me into the corporate track. And after a while, because I was of course like making like the money from like the corporate side, I kind of started like comparing what I was making in corporate world to what my passion was, and understanding the type of money that I was making as a cook for someone in this company was not going to ever like come close to what it was I was gonna be making like from like a corporate standpoint. And I probably stayed in that track from like 2014 to about like 2016, almost 17, before I got to a point I was just like, hey, you cook all the time, you know, you're always cooking for everybody, and you know it's good, and you're cooking for yourself, and maybe you should try to like do that from somebody else. And once again, funny enough, it ties back to the question you just asked me. It was someone in Sigma, one of my close profiles, and now my best friend Sean, that hit me and was like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just start marketing this to people at your job who are probably also trying to do what you're trying to do and like eat better, and just put a price on it. And it literally started off as me making meals for people at my job when I was working for State Farm at the call center, and just grew from there. It started as a meal prep business, and it's just like I said, now from 2016 to now, it's just it advanced so many ways. I've always known that food has been something that centered me, something that made me happy to do, and I'm amazed at where it's going now.
That's amazing. So in that, man, what would you say is your it factor? Why you do what you do?
I would say my it factor and why I do what I do is because I think it's simple. I tell people all the time, I feel that the life of a chef is the life of a person that's a servant. And I say that in the regards of I love helping others, and I feel like when it is that I create something for someone, I'm able to take like my passion and love it is that I have for food and translate that over to my food, and I'm able to allow that person to experience that through the creation of what it is. I think that's something that really like makes my food like stand apart. Like just one of those things is like the level of love and passion that really goes into it. And outside of that, I think the other it factor with me is that I am a completely self-taught cook. I've never even seen the front doors of a culinary institute ever, and yet I have taught myself through trial and error, through self-studying, through a combination of like restaurant experience, how to cook on the same level as some people who had gone and been in culinary school for years on top of years on top of years.
Okay, man. So in that, bro, like, how do you keep your skills sharp then? Like, or how do you keep saying, okay, I know this Chef Shaiheem, this is who it is, he's gonna make this for me, it's cool. Like, how do you keep that up?
I will say that I study, honestly. I never stop trying to learn. I never stop trying to see where it is that I can either learn new things for myself or build on top of what it is that I already know. I read food journals, I read food blogs, I watch videos, I watch other chefs. I'm very particular about like the other people in the food industry, even that I follow on social media. I believe that what you see, you really do take in.
Right.
So I always want to take in information and knowledge and imagery from other chefs that are going to help like sharpen what it is that I already know. Either teach me something new or teach me a way to do what it is that I've already doing in a more efficient way.
Got you. I respect that, man. I also say I see it with even just your posts, the different things you do. Granted, it make you hungry. You're like, oh, yeah. You know, but it also be like, man, brother, he's growing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always want to see that even with me being a podcaster and being an engineer.
Yeah.
You are right about that. Like watching people, you get what you see. Like, like okay, I can improve on this. Oh, okay, cool. You never know who might reach out to you.
Yeah.
So do you say any of the cooks you would love to work with or any things like that?
There are definitely other cooks I would love to work with. If we are talking like Food Network type, like if you was like on like TV, I would definitely say definitely chefs like Naisha Arrington, who is like a black female powerhouse chef in the industry. I would say people like Alice Garner Shelley, Scott Conant, Marcus Samuelson, and Richard Blaze. Richard Blaze, most definitely.
Great chefs, bro. Great chefs. I have watched them all 'cause, you know, my mom been a chef.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, man. So in that, I would say, you know, where do you see your company in the next 5 years, and also where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Gotcha. So I wanna say that I want to keep both those things. I'll touch on it separately, but also them as a cohesive thing. I really, really try to like look at them as one. I feel like putting as much passion into and care into it that I do for like myself. I feel like it should also go into my business as well.
Yes,
So interchangeably, I see both myself and my business in that time span. For one, I see myself being in full-time entrepreneurship and not doing anything else outside of it. So I can really, really pour the, you know, like the attention to detail to that, and also be able to have the bandwidth to be able to pour back to myself effectively as well. For myself, I see myself, let's say, actually being in physical brick and mortar locations. I see myself being an established, like, published cookbook author. I want to have several different like online like digital cooking courses as well for people, because we honestly still don't know when this foolishness with COVID is going to be so there's definitely a market for it. And like I said, even more so just because I understand, as being someone that now works remote for my day job, how important it is to be able to have those ease of access things. Everyone does not have the time or even the ability to be able to go to physical cooking classes, but you still need to be able to learn. So I've taught myself how to start setting those things up even during like the pandemic. That's one of the ways is that I've been like growing like for myself like personally. So I would definitely love to be able to offer those things for other people as well. So that on more so a subscription level, similar to that where you would go for like someone who's teaching like a master class. I'd love to do that. Especially I think it would be really different and very like pioneering, especially as someone as a autodidactic like chef.
Yeah, and I think that'd be spot on for people that, like myself, we both know how to cook, like me and Corey know how to cook. But it's certain people that don't. And it's like looking at your stuff, like you say, it's funny. You like, hey man, you know, if you didn't do it right or you didn't do it this way, but let it be a class. And like, oh, okay, I ain't gonna get it wrong this time. And that's gonna buy more people in. They're gonna tell their family, their friends. So I definitely see that happening, man.
I just did my first like live thing this week, like a day or 2 days ago, and I was actually surprised at how many people actually like got on and like stood on. I had like 416 people come and like see me like cooking for an hour, and I just like made something very, very simple. But it was really, really cool. Like I actually got to be able to do something which I love, which like actually like talking about food theory. I think that's one of those things that separates like cook from like chef as well. Like it's one thing to know what tastes good, but it's another thing to be able to know and be able to speak to, you do this, add this, do this way because it makes a difference for this. You see what I'm saying? Like being able to discuss like how to build flavor profiles and like knife techniques, so people will be a little bit less likely to hurt themselves while they're doing what you're trying to teach them how to do, you know.
That's amazing, bro. Cause I definitely need that from you, from just the simplest thing as cutting up an onion. Cause like I cut my finger so many times. My mom taught me a way, like, okay, that's how you do it. But still, if I had that, I would not eat. That wouldn't probably eat it. So in that, man, before we close out, you know, how do you balance both those? So you said you want to step away from it, and which you will. I know you are. But how do you balance work now and balance, you know, doing these big time parties or different things of that nature? How do you, and cooking, how do you balance them?
Honestly, it's a lot. I'll be honest with you, it's a lot. I have to make the balance where it can be. There are literally some days where I am in meetings and I'm in my kitchen and I'm cooking and my laptop is sitting on a cake stand so that I can be close enough to it in the eventuality that someone calls my name in the meeting and there's something I need to answer or speak to. I can run and go take myself off mute and go and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I find the balance. It's like I'm in this weird space where I do my job because I'm good at it and it makes me money. But to be completely honest, I'm also in a space now, especially in the age that I'm in, where anything it is that's taking time and focus and energy away from me being able to push towards my passion is something that pulls away from my happiness. And so I try my best to look at it like my job that I do not necessarily like doing, even though I'm good at doing it, is that thing that's allowing me to be able to push more funding and stuff before I before my business gets to a point where I'm getting that on its own just off the name of the business. That's my way of investing into myself. So it's like, why is that I don't necessarily care for it? I look at it more as like a labor of love. I'm working to invest into the growth of my business, and the higher it is that, like, why I am staying in this realm of like working in corporate and working in data analytics. It's as I grow there, it's giving me more and more space to be able to put more things into my business, to be able to afford more things like better marketing and like, you know, like just this past year, it's only been about a year and a half now that I've had like an actual like website and things like that, you know, having like, you know, like all those things. It costs money. It's a lot. The materials, the even down to doing content creation. I probably want to say the studio that I cook in at home now probably cost me probably about $1,200, $1,200 to $1,500 to make, and it's literally like an island and some lights and a couple stands and things like that. But that stuff adds up, and if it wasn't for work, I probably wouldn't have as much free income to be able to pour in, and also to the business, and also to take care of the things I need to do in life, like be able to have money to spend, pay bills, and also be able to save.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's some good gems you dropped too, because I feel like a lot of us do stuff and it's like, okay, we doing it, but you don't see how your job does add value. But it's supposed to be adding value for you to be able to get away from
the job
and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's why we go to college too.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got away from it because you seen how our parents were. They like worked a job for all these years.
Yeah.
But it's not like
it's
that.
not like that. It's not like people at that point in my field, like people from that age, like that time frame, like our parents and things, as you said, they were just more so in a space where happiness for them was to be able to work and provide for their families, and even if that meant they had to sacrifice some piece of their own self-happiness, it balanced out, and that was the sacrifice they were willing to make. And I feel like now in this generation where we have a little bit more opportunities in some senses than our parents did, and when I say I mean access to probably about the only thing is some higher paying jobs, to be totally honest. We are in that space where it's like we have a little bit more breathing room because of that, even though some other aspects like cost of living and things kind of like level it back out for us still. We're able to do things more so for ourselves. So we're in that space of I should be able to pay my bills, take care of my family, and still be able to be happy and enjoy things that I want to do. And that's the reason why our generation definitely is like, if a job is not doing it for us, if we're not happy, we're out. It doesn't matter what it is that you're paying me. That pay is not necessarily worth me not being happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's the ultimate goal too. You know, the only way to be able to serve people and help other people is also being happy in yourself and the things that you do.
That's real.
So definitely, that's why I do the show. It gives me a time to step away from it and say, okay, hey, this ain't what I'm gonna be doing forever.
Yeah.
You know. So in there, man, what has been some of your favorite events you have done or different things you have done?
Let's see. Some of my favorite events, I would say I always look back to my very, very first catering event. Like I said, as I told you, I started doing things with business in 2016, but my very first like actual catering event was October 2019. I'll never forget it. I literally also hired by a brother. And funny enough, I actually just did another big catering for them this past weekend for Mother's Day as well. And that is something that will always stick with me because I feel like because they gave me a chance to show what it is I could do, I had something to be able to show other people this is what I can do, and that stemmed on from it. So literally I went from doing that event in October of 2019 to January of 2020 cooking for B. Simone. So like I said, that was a cool thing, and that's also another favorite of mine because I was double booked that day. I had to cook for 50 people for B. Simone, and I also that same morning was also cooking because I had a event for 30 in Blue Ridge, Georgia, where I had to cook in this here, drive an hour and a half to get the food there. So I had to be up. I woke up at 3 o'clock that morning to prepare cooking for both events with two separate, completely different menus. Wow. Two completely separate menus. And then I would say another catering of mine that will be very, very memorable with me will be this year, which was January, the first wedding I ever did. That was really, really cool. And then probably like the last most recent thing would be I just did a NFL draft party. So my very first meal prep client ever back in 2016, I've been cooking for her son since he was in 10th grade. And for me to be cooking the party for him where he actually got drafted into the NFL will be something that will forever stick with me because I've been cooking for him since he started playing football in high school.
Yeah, you've been part of the journey.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So in that, before we close, do you have any questions for me?
So any questions for you? I would say, I would say, I know, like I said, at this point you've been doing, you've been doing this for some time now, and I would say, for anybody else maybe that wants to get into like doing things like this, like what advice and stuff would you have for them, you know, and like I guess like where you see this like growing for you as well, because as you said for me, I definitely know the same ways things with me is growing, it's definitely going to grow for you as well. So
right. So I would say if you want to get in this, man, like people think you need the best of this, like likes, you need this, and at the end of the day, it's like you get you a simple camera or even a Zoom, and you start having the conversation, things like that. But also watch my show, you know, learn what I do, or watch other people that's bigger than me and learn from that. But also, the biggest thing is just start. Yeah. And a lot of people don't start no matter what you're doing. Yeah. You have to start, you know, and that's the biggest thing. People ask me, like the girl interviewed me, and she was like, my show's small and this, so and so. And I told her, I said, well, it's going to grow. Yeah. So what you going to do when it grow? Yeah. And she was like, oh, you're right. I'm like, yeah, you should start thinking about it like that. Yeah. Stop thinking about it as the little show. Yeah. I'm the little cook down here. No, it's going to grow. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And as far as my show, you know, it's going to be like Oprah, like we grew up watching, man, you know. And I want to always be able to do these at home, like shows, but I want to work to get a studio. Yeah. You know, I want to work to where I can fly people out, pay people, and do different things like that, and just be able to be that voice of the people. Yeah. Because granted, I bring big name people on here. At the end of the day, I bring on a common working person. I feel like a lot of podcasts don't do that. Yeah. You bring on the biggest person ever. It's like, that's cool and all, but I want to be able to bring everyone on.
Everybody in.
So definitely, man, that's my biggest thing.
That's gonna be dope. That's gonna be dope. Definitely, most definitely. I can't wait to see it. You know, as at this point in development, we have known each other for like 5+ years. So even just seeing like your growth and development through life and stuff, I'm like you out here kind of growing up on us all, because at this point it's like I brought you in. It's like you already in the house and everything. It's like I'm still trying to get there, you know. So most definitely, I definitely see that, and it's definitely, like you said, it's been important. The important thing is just starting. So many people try to wait for the perfect plan, the perfect time, when they feel like they have the most free time, when they feel like they have the most money, and it's like that's never going to happen. The perfect time to start is never ever going to happen. You just have to start, and you got to build on top of it, build on top of it, build on top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect time is now.
Yeah, perfect time is now. Most definitely.
Definitely leave you with that, man. Thank you for coming on the show, bro.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Sir, man. That's it.